There are a lot of shonen anime out there, an endless amount even, and growing with every season. And with that large of an amount of shonen anime, a lot just get lost in the masses. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, however, has done the opposite, and despite being 30 years old this year, it has only increased in popularity. Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and today I want to discuss what makes Jojo unique compared to all the other shonen anime out there. So first of all, and I honestly don't even need to say this, but one of the most unique things about Jojo, just at face value, is, of course, its unique art style, and how it evolves. I feel that for most of us, when we first started Jojo, one of the first comments we ever have is, what is up with this art style? And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it can be off-putting. And I see so many just abandon the anime on episode 1 just due to how different the art style is. But even then, it really does grow on you and makes the show truly stand out among the rest for better or for worse. Like me personally, I absolutely love it. And you know what? I like all the art styles of JoJo, 1 through 8, even as they evolve. And while that isn't the same for everyone, I just appreciate each style as a time capsule of sorts. Because, and this is my next point, JoJo is not based off of some new manga or light novel. As I said, the manga is 30 years old this year, and the art style is truly just a sign of the times. With part 1 of JoJo obviously being inspired by Fist of the North Star, because I mean, come on. It's pretty obvious. Jonathan fits into that exact same character archetype. Though yes, JoJo isn't too unique when it comes to old manga being animated in modern times. It happens quite often really, and it usually yields some pretty awesome results. And on the topic of the manga being 30 years old, that brings up another really important detail. There's a lot of JoJo to go around. 4 parts animated and 8 parts in the manga. Unlike a lot of anime where you can just catch up in a day or two, JoJo really is a bizarre adventure that will take you for a spin more times than you would expect. And by the time you reach Battle Tendency, you've gotten to the point of no return. Take it from me, I would know. And with its age and quantity of parts, come another aspect of JoJo that you don't see too often in other shonen anime. Just the fact that technically, every part of JoJo is in fact its own story, and if you choose to, you could start wherever you want, and still understand what happens, to a certain extent. Though as a little bit of a side note here, I highly recommend that nobody does that, just because JoJo is much more enjoyable if you watch or read it in order. Like, that's the thing though. JoJo really does not get redundant because, as I said, each part has its own story with different dynamics and character archetypes each time, with the exceptions of returning characters. But even then, being able to watch characters grow from part to part or hear about what ended up happening to them is always something special, and something that JoJo does really well. Like, for example, Joseph in parts 2, 3, and 4 really defines character development, as we first meet him as a cocky young man, to a still cocky but wise older man, to just an old man who is in the latter stages of life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but not too many series do that. Also, before I forget, what makes each part even more unique is that with every part, a different plot device is used. Well, nearly every part. Like with part 1 being the classic bittersweet revenge plot, to part 7 being the dynamic duo on a journey. Another thing that JoJo does that a good portion of most shonen anime tend to not do for one reason or another, whether it be padding space between the anime and the manga with filler or just other reasons, is that JoJo is almost scarily faithful to the source material, with actually no major plot points from the manga ever being skipped. I mean, unless you count the old part 3 OVA, but we don't talk about that here, though we may talk about it sometime soon actually. It's crazy though, and we really have to thank David Productions for this, because without them, we would for sure have never gotten as faithful of an adaptation as these 4 animated parts, and hopefully 5, have been. Though enough on that. What is it that is so unique about the series that actually ensnares people and hooks them on the show? Well, it can be a variety of things, but I'll go over what specifically stood out for me. Alright, well this isn't exactly unique, but JoJo really does have an outstanding soundtrack. and that goes for all of the parts. Not to mention the openings are some of the best as well. Like, the openings for parts 1 through 3 are truly unique and stand out among the entire anime community as a whole, because correct me if I'm wrong. Like, seriously, I want to know if there's other openings like this. But what show packs that many hints and Easter eggs into one opening besides Jojo? Though, unfortunately, Kamikaze Doga did not do part 4's openings, leading them to be animated like the rest of the show. Though, don't get me wrong, they are still absolutely fantastic and fit with the part pretty well. Now, I've said a lot of ways that Jojo is unique compared to other shonen anime, but there is one trait that really stands out throughout the entire series. Jojo is weird, bizarre even, with its extravagant poses, outlandish characters, and stands that have the strangest powers. Like, I want to say that this is an exaggeration, but that with every part of Jojo, everything just gets weirder and weirder, and even now with the current chapters of Part 8, everything is off the hook, and anything could happen at this point. Though in the end, with all these factors combined, plus a bit of that classic JoJo suspense, amazing battles, and just a pinch of heart-wrenching scenes, all of these come together to make JoJo's Bizarre Adventure one of the most unique anime out to date. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, do subscribe, and today's cool thing of the day is Persona 5, because of how it has basically taken over my entire life. And hey, it still ties into this video since one of the inspirations for Persona 5 was actually Jojo. And I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it still makes the game all the more fun for me, and all the more tempting to go play, instead of making the video you're watching right now. But I'll prevail for your sake, so that being said, I'm the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic.